The question here is based on the systems that we deal with. It says, if the human body is represented as a system, what kind of system is it? An open one, a closed one, an isolated one, or none of these? Well, let's look at how do we define these systems in the first place. How do we define open system? Well, it's a system which can exchange both the mass and the energy with the surroundings. How about closed system? A closed system can exchange only the energy with the surroundings but not the mass. How about isolated system? An isolated system can exchange neither the mass nor the energy with the surroundings. Now, look at the human body as a system. What kind of system is it? It is an open system, and that's because it can exchange both the mass and the energy with the surroundings. Let me give you an example. Look at the process of respiration and digestion. Isn't there mass exchange with the surroundings? Also, if you go out on a winter day, don't you feel cold? And if you sit in front of a bonfire, don't you feel that warmth? Those are examples of exchange of energy with the surroundings. So human body, if considered as a system, is an open one. The correct option is A. Look at the next question. He is asking us to identify which one of these is an intensive property. Mass, surface tension, or volume. Well, what is an intensive property? It's a bulk property. It does not depend on the system size or the amount of material present in the system. So looking at the options once again, is mass an intensive property? No, because it depends on the quantity of the material present in the system. How about volume? It depends on the size of the system. How about surface tension? It's an intensive property. So the right option for this question is B. Next, we have a simple and straightforward question. It says, an isolated system is a system in which option A, there is no exchange of energy with the surroundings. Option B, there is exchange of mass and energy with the surroundings. Option C, there is no exchange of mass and energy with the surroundings. And option D, there is exchange of either mass or energy with the surroundings. Well, this question is based on the type of systems that we deal with. What kind of systems do we deal with? An open one, a closed one, and an isolated one. How do we define them in the first place? We define open system as one which can exchange both the mass and the energy with the surroundings. How about closed system? It is one which can exchange only the energy with the surroundings but not the mass. How about isolated one? It can exchange neither the mass nor the energy with the surroundings. In that case, this question deals with isolated system. It is one which can exchange neither mass or the energy with the surroundings. So, the right option for this question is C. Look at this interesting question and let me help you in interpreting the data. We are given a nonlinear triatomic gas sample. What do you mean by nonlinear? If you look at this triatomic gas molecule, these atoms are not in a line, but they are like this, in a plane. They are nonlinear. And we are supposed to find the molar specific heat capacity at constant volume for such a non-linear triatomic gas sample. We are also supposed to neglect the vibration of the molecule. Well, which expression gives us the specific heat capacity of the gas at constant volume? It is Cv is equal to Fr by 2. F here is the total degree of freedom for the molecule. R is the universal gas constant. Well, it all boils down to calculating the total degree of freedom for this gas molecule. There can be translational, rotational, and vibrational degrees of freedom. But we are supposed to neglect the vibrational motion of the atoms of this molecule. In that case, we are looking at only the translational degree of freedom plus rotational degree of freedom. Let's see. If this is the molecule with 1, 2, and 3 atoms placed in a non-linear fashion, how many translational degrees of freedom will exist? Well, along x, along y and along z. So it becomes 3. How many rotational degrees of freedom? This molecule can rotate about an axis like this, about an axis like this, and the third one like this. So put together 3 rotational degrees of freedom, and in total it is 6 rotational degrees of freedom. So your CV turns out to be 6 times r by 2 or 3r. That's your final answer. The correct option for this question is A. Let me help you in interpreting the data. They have considered an ideal gas of 2 moles initially at temperature 30 degrees Celsius, and they have heated that from 30 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius under constant pressure condition in the first case. And the amount of heat required in order to do this happens to be 70 calorie. Now, the same gas is taken in a separate case and heated from 30 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius, but under constant volume condition. He is asking us to find the amount of heat required in order to do this. We also have the adiabatic constant of the gas given to us. It is 7 by 5. Well, in order to find the heat required to raise the temperature of the gas from 30 to 35 degrees Celsius under constant volume, we need to look at the application of the equation connecting the heat required by the gas in order to raise in temperature by delta T, which is Q equals NC delta T. What is Q? The amount of heat required. N is the number of moles. C is the specific heat capacity of the gas, the molar specific heat capacity of the gas. What about delta T? The change in the temperature. In the first case, we are conducting this heating under constant pressure condition. So this equation will become Qp equals Ncp delta T. The subscript P stands for the constant pressure condition, and Cp here is the molar specific heat capacity of the gas under constant pressure condition. Now, do the same thing for constant volume condition. The equation becomes Qv equals Ncv delta T, where Cv is a molar specific heat capacity of the gas under constant volume condition. Look at the data now. In the first case, the amount of heat supplied was 70 calorie. Number of moles is 2. Cp as it is. The temperature changes from 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. So delta T is simply 5. Call this equation number 1. Now, in the second case, Qv, which we don't know, N is 2, Cv as it is, delta T is again 5. Call this equation number 2. We need to find Qv, the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of the gas from 30 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius under constant volume condition. Take the ratio of equation 2 to equation 1. That will get us Qv by 70 equals Cv by Cp. But we know that the adiabatic constant of the gas is the ratio of Cp to Cv, which is given to us. It is 7 by 5. Let's substitute that now. We get Cp by Cv being 7 by 5. So this will be 5 by 7. And simplifying this, we get Qv equals 50 calorie. This is your final answer. The correct option for this question is B.